All right, so for the last little piece here, we're going to do something kind of cool. We're going to use just one of the kind of many great little JavaScript um, modules that are built into Bootstrap. And the one we're going to look at is called Modal. Modal is just it's kind of a pop-up window. Sometimes it's referred to as a light box. We are going to find it on under the JavaScript heading on the Bootstrap page. And down on the right, we have something called Modal. Let's look at a couple of examples, and this will explain what it is. It's this thing, right? It's this window that pops up over our content. Here's a demo. Click on this button, and we get a window with content in it. And down at the bottom, we can close, and we end up right back where we were. So again, this is the type of thing that we could build on our own. We could make this, right? We could make a div that has some content in it that when your page loads, it's a hidden element on the page, and then when you click a button, that piece of content is shown. We'd have to spend a lot of time figuring out how to style it and how to make it center in the page, how to make it animate into place if we wanted it to do that, like this one does very nicely. But in this case, since we're using Bootstrap, it's just something that already exists. It's something we have access to, and we can just call up and fill with our own content. So what I'm going to do, again, is I'm just going to grab this block of markup here, right? So from the top all the way down to the bottom, I'm just going to put this down at the bottom of my page. So let's do it. Let's do it after container. That's the end of my container div. Remember, all of our markup for our images and text are contained inside of a container wrapper. I'm going to put this down at the bottom, and when I load my page now, even though I've added this markup, it's not going to actually show up anywhere on my page. Next, I'm going to click back over to Bootstrap, and I'm going to grab the other piece of code, which is just a simple button, right? Let's put this inside of the first block of text, so with the cyclone piece here, and if I save this, it will now show up on my page. Launch demo modal. Not really what I'm looking to do as far as the text goes. Let's put in a little something more descriptive. Rise! Exclamation point. That'll become clear in a moment. But let's just look at what we have here. Button. So this is a button element in HTML. Buttons are you could say a naturally occurring element of markup in HTML. Again, something you can look up. I Googled W3 schools for sort of the dictionary definition of a button element in HTML. Buttons are what you expect. You know, they're buttons. But in this case, we're using the Bootstrap style of buttons. So Bootstrap is going to have its own styles for how buttons display, and those are based partly on classes. So we have button primary, button large, data toggle equals modal, data target equals my modal. So data target is my modal, which is defined down here. We have a modal called ID equals my modal. So now what do we want to do? We want to put some content inside of our modal, right? We don't want the default content that says whatever this says, ... Yep. And we don't need a button that says save changes because we're not saving anything. So let's first, well, let's get with the content we're going to drop in here. I have gone to YouTube and found a nice video that somebody uploaded of the cyclone from the front seat. Cool. And if I come down here to share, I get an option to grab the embed code. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just do this sort of the lazy way right now, which is just to pull this piece of code. And I'm going to cut and paste this into the modal body. So replace the the dot 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 with our little iframe here. Remember, iframes are just a way to display content from another site inside of your site. And I'm going to change the modal title to from the front car of the cyclone. Rather, view from the front car of the cyclone. And I'm going to get rid of the button that says Save Changes. I'm going to save the one called Close, though, because we do want a way to make it clear to close. And is that it? Is that all I need? Let's see what happens. Reload. Click the button. And what do we get? We get this nice video inside of a modal window, right? This is a really common thing you see on the internet. And maybe you look at it and go, wow, how did they make that? I would never know how to make something like that. Well, this is kind of, it's not really cheating. It's it's just a really convenient way to do common, simple things. So there you go. I'm kind of going to leave it at that, but hopefully this has given you a good... Oh, that's interesting. You hear that? It's still playing even though we've closed the window. Yeah, there's probably a way to handle that, where you actually, on close, would, I don't know, delete the iframe video or something. Anyway, don't worry about it. Yeah, so let's review real quick. What I'm going to do is just look at the structure of our index page. To the things we covered today, we loaded the external Bootstrap style sheet. We wrote a place for hours. We barely used it because mostly we were relying on the pre-existing Bootstrap CSS that already exists. We loaded the Bootstrap JavaScript, and we loaded our own JavaScript. Again, we didn't really use any of our own JavaScript. We used just the JavaScript that existed already in Bootstrap. And mainly, we wrote a lot of markup, right? So we wrote our little text containers and our image containers. We had 3 sets, so three sets of text and image combinations. We wrote classes. We used classes that exist in Bootstrap to define the width on the page and to define their responsive properties when we make the page smaller and larger. And we used some pre-existing JavaScript components from Bootstrap to create a button, which when you click it, opens up a modal window, and we just copied the markup over from the example in Bootstrap. So there you go. I'll scroll through the page here so that if you need to copy anything, then you can. I know how you guys work. I know how I work. If I'm watching the tutorial, I just pause it on the part where I need to copy it. Yeah, okay. So there you go. Hopefully that gives you what you need. Again, the script is blank and style has, all we did was add the 4 pixels of margin at the top of our rows. So all of this is done almost entirely just with the out-of-the-box CSS and JavaScript from Bootstrap. So yeah, we'll get a little more into this on Tuesday, but hopefully this gives you a good sense of what we're working with. All right, see ya.